Good afternoon and welcome to part 2 of our Heritage Month webinar series, day 4. You are now joining us for a very special session, which is our Varsity Vibe, roadshow, in which we'll be inviting partners, external partners, to participate with Sarah in encouraging the youth to participate in heritage. Basically, Varsity Vibe, as you may or may not know, has an initiative that provides incentives for youth to visit certain sites. And as Sarah, as part of Heritage Month, we think it's quite important to encourage young people in the country to understand and know their heritage. Ultimately, all of these heritage resources that we manage are not for ourselves, but for future generations. So if we do not get the youth involved in heritage, if we do not incentivize them to participate in heritage resource management, or even just visiting their sites, I think that we are missing a very, very huge demographic in terms of heritage resource management. Now, the Varsity Vibe initiative is taking place in collaboration with Sarah's business development unit and Varsity Vibe. So I'd like to welcome the director of Varsity Vibe, who is joining us here today, and his name is Mr. Dino Talotti, and he'll be giving a presentation with our business development unit manager, Mr. Devon Brainers. Now, Sarah's business development unit is only in its second year, if I'm not mistaken. And as you know, or as you may or may not know, we were tasked with being financially sustainable as an organization. And this is not just for Sarah, this is for all of the entities under the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, but also it applies to all government entities in general. So Mr. Brainers has been working on a lot of wonderful initiatives. Today, we will focus on this partnership with Varsity Vibe, and we encourage you all to please invite new partners to keep spreading the word and to keep encouraging the youth to participate in heritage resource management. So as I've stated, we have 2 presentations today, the first being from the business development manager, Mr. Devon Brainers, who is here with me in studio today, and I'll be handing over to him for his presentation on the Varsity Vibe initiative. Devon, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for the introduction, Ben. As mentioned, my name is Devon Brainers, and I'm the Business Development Manager at SARA. I'll present a short presentation on the Varsity Vibe Youth Initiative, largely from the heritage sector's perspective, and also delving into the relevance for this sector, particularly targeting youth. And thereafter, as mentioned, Mr. Dino Talotti, the Varsity Vibe Director, will give a more in-depth look at Varsity Vibe and all they have to offer. My hope is that after today's presentations, that all viable heritage-related institutions would partner with us on this initiative and make this something special to really get some exposure and participation in our sector. So without further ado, I would just like to delve into the background of Varsity Vibe and what exactly it is that they do. So first and foremost, on the surface, Varsity Vibe is a South African student discount app that offers instant access to exclusive student deals for members only. Anyone can download the app and see the deals. However, only a student with a valid student number from a South African university can become a member and get these deals. Varsity Vibe has been operating for over 10 years now and have continued year-on-year growth. Their offering comes in the form of exclusive student deals with the most relevant brands in South Africa. Student deals are available all year round and cost students 200 Rand for a 12-year subscription. So essentially, Varsity Vibe members can find deals nearby, see what deals are available, and ultimately redeem them. Essentially, Varsity Vibe connects students with their partners. The students receive exclusive student deals incentivizing participation, and Varsity Vibe partners receive increased foot and web traffic, marketing, and capturing a direct and specific market segment. Now, what is the application to SARA and the heritage sector at large? Varsity Vibe partners with head offices of brands and not the direct franchises. And as such, there's an opportunity for SARA to bring heritage to students through connecting heritage partners, Varsity Vibe, and the students by representing the heritage offering. Therefore, SARA can stand as a heritage head office and bring on board heritage partners. It is for this reason we require partners who are willing to offer students exclusive discounts and are willing to assist us with raising funds that will be vested back into heritage conservation. All partners that come on board will fall under our umbrella, and ultimately they will receive all the marketing benefits and exposure that this platform has to offer directly. To all relevant parties here today, this is a call to come on board with SARA and create real exposure for our sector and impacting youth directly. So how does SARA benefit from this entire initiative? SARA will have the opportunity to get into an MOU with our heritage partners, and we would then be able to make a predetermined commission off each sale or Varsity Vibe redemption and ultimately monetize the increase in exposure our partners will receive. We have already gotten into an MOU with Varsity Vibe and partnered with them to do exactly that. A practical example of how this arrangement will play out is that if a heritage partner, for example, has a ticket sale of 100 Rand, they'd offer SARA a 40 Rand discount. SARA would then negotiate with the partner to retain 10 Rand, and 30 Rand would then be passed on to Varsity Vibe and therefore directly to the students. So the partner would then get 60 Rand out of the entire thing, and SARA would get 10 Rand. And the importance of this money, or the financial benefit yielded back from these partners, will go directly into heritage conservation efforts from the nodes from which they were derived. For example, if the Maritime and Underwater Cultural Heritage Unit has brought on board a dive charter that takes one out to go and see a shipwreck, the money that is received from this will go back into maritime and underwater cultural heritage conservation. And that's ultimately what we are trying to accomplish and serve our own mandate as SARA. So what is it that our partners then gain from this initiative outside of the heritage conservation aspect? Our partners will be listed on the Varsity Vibe app and website, getting them exposure to the extensive Varsity Vibe membership base, which ultimately is speaking to more than 500,000 students across South Africa. This partnership will result in increased foot and web traffic and increased sales, marketing, and exposure via Varsity Vibe. And ultimately, enhance brand positioning by assisting SARA with heritage conservation, bringing youth to the heritage space, as it is a targeted effort towards students and youth. So in terms of the direction of SARA's partnerships, this initiative will provide the youth with access to heritage and provide the heritage partners and sites with more exposure and participation. It can be the foundation upon which future relationships and funding initiatives are built on. And finally, implementation of the proposed partnerships will route generated income to where it matters most, back into heritage conservation management. This initiative will therefore aid in serving SARA's mandate and contribute towards our financial sustainability. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate everyone getting on board with this, and I will now hand over to Mr. Dino Tolati to do his presentation, and we ask that we reserve all questions until the end of his presentation. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Dino.
Oh, that's coming back a couple of times. Yeah, so there's one thing I just need to sort of reiterate here, is we have moved away from being just a student discount app. We still position ourselves as a student discount app. However, we're more of a youth platform now. simply because our partnership with Standard Bank now allows us to basically give discounts to not just students, but everyone that is between the ages of 16 to 25. So yeah, it's grown exponentially as a result. And however, we still do student-only discounts, but we are able to segment our market between a premium and a freemium model. And yeah, it's basically a freemium is someone that just verifies that they're a student. A premium member is someone that has upgraded using paying the 200 Rand, or if they were Standard Bank, they get the premium membership for free. This is a presentation that we put together once every 3 months. So this is back from June. So yeah, we're waiting for September to finish, but we are sitting closer to about 520,000 students and still growing. Our partners are growing consistently. And we're sitting at closer to more like 5,000 partner stores nationwide, because in the last 3 months, we've onboarded the Cape Union Mart group, as well as the G-Star Raw team. So yeah, so like I was saying earlier, we're a youth community. This is basically a gateway for brands and merchants to better engage with the SA youth, or students, your future leaders and workforce, get them really interacting with the brand or the product or the service from a young age. Give it to them at a cheaper price. They get used to using it. They enjoy it. They take their friends back there. They reuse it. It's about building brand loyalty. Obviously, for students or youth, we are helping them enjoy the perks of student life, getting more bang for their buck. There's 3 simple steps. They get the app, they join, and they get the deals. And yeah, I'll show you the online platform shortly. You saw the slide, but pretty much the same thing, how it works. We create deals and discounts at different partners, and they're exclusive deals and discounts with our partners. No one else can get these. You have to be a member of Varsity Vibe. We then interact with students and the youth of South Africa, and they sign up and either pay the 200 Rand, or they stick around just doing the freemium deals and enjoy it like that. So I'll give an example of a freemium deal. Just escape out of here. Sorry, give me 1 sec. So let me go to something simple like Superbalist. So a freemium deal would be your 10% off, whereas your 20% off would be your premium deal. And then there's another freemium deal that we do with Superbalist, which is a 250 Rand first-time buyers. So this is a once-off deal. These are ongoing. So every single time they hop onto our app and they want to get 20% off Superbalist, they'll click on Superbalist, they'll click View Code, and they'll copy the code, and then they'll launch the website, and that'll take them directly to Superbalist. They'll shop, whatever, and then they'll plug that code in at checkout. Similarly, if they are in a store, let me just do Burger King, for instance. So you'll see Burger King, the premium deal is 10% off. A premium discount would be 25% off. What's the difference? Well, freemium, there's obviously a lot more members. It's free to be a freemium member. They just need to verify their student status. Premium, however, this is for guys that are with Standard Bank, 16 to 25 years old, or a student over 25, or a foreign person, so they don't have a South African ID number. They then can get premium, and they either pay the 200 bucks or they've gone via Standard Bank. But if they're in store, you basically will show your profile picture. That's me. To confirm that it's you. You can't change your profile picture once you've done it. You view the code, and as you can see, you'll just show that code or whatever to the staff member. Obviously, for different deals, there's different ways of doing it. So for instance, Burger King, it's a code. Or someone like H&M, there's a premium deal that we got, and they use a barcode. So depending on how and what point of sale that the different heritage site or event has, we are able to custom build it, but it's the same mechanic each time. You search the deal, you redeem the coupon, and you get the deal. It's as simple as that. So yeah, going back to the slide, as you can see, the app is very much like the website. You can basically easily search things. You have a profile where it tells you where you are, premium, etc. And then there's a map mode where you can search different things, so like fashion or heritage sites or whatever, and then it'll populate all the different pins. And then, like I said, you literally search the deal, you will hit redeem, whichever one you wanted to redeem, and then you get the deal by viewing the code and showing it, or showing the barcode, or it's just a case of showing that, or it's the ref code, or there's a built-in API that comes directly to our system. That's something that we deal with later. As I told you already, there's this, did you know, with Standard Bank, if you're 17 to 24 years old, you get Varsity Vibe Premium for free. For anyone that's over 25, they need to be a registered student, and that's how we sort that out. Benefit for students, obviously, you get more bang for their buck. should actually say benefits for youth. More bang for the buck. Deals are not once-offs. They do it all the time. And that's what we encourage that. We want them to use this. We want them to get the deals and just kind of continuously use the app. And this would be a nice little value add to, number one, being proudly South African. Number two, getting them out the house and actually reliving and rediscovering their own country. This is something that's super wholesome and something that students are looking to do more and more, and the youth of South Africa in general. From the partners side of things, there's obviously more feet in the stores or at your sites and online. You're building the customer loyalty from future South African earners. So these are the guys that are literally going to start working. They're going to get married. They're going to have kids. And what are they going to do? They're going to take their kids to these different sites and show them and give them the history of South Africa. There's obviously the whole student verification. We do that. We have real-time student verification at 15 tier 1 universities around South Africa. So that's UCT, UWC, Stellenbosch, CPUT, WITS, UFS, CUT. So basically all your big tier, your UKZN, your UP, so your TUT, all across the country, we basically do the student verification directly real time. So we've taken that whole, oh, are they a student, are they not a student? Is a student card valid or not valid? We've taken that all out of the equation for our merchants. We do the student verification for them, hence why there's these premium deals and it's been doing so well. Obviously, it's a marketing tool. There's these value adds that you can literally directly tap into our database through our different marketing channels. There's analytics and reporting with the API integration. If we have it, then we're able to do that with you. We've been operating for 10 years in the space. It's taken me a long time to get there, but I believe slow and steady wins the race. So first 3 years, it was just at GCT. Then we grew to WITS and TUX for the next 2 years. And then I created the Varsity Vibe card. Didn't do so well because people want instant gratification. So we launched the Varsity Vibe app, and it's in 2017, and we've literally just grown from like being just Cape Town, Stellenbosch, Joburg, Pretoria to be a nationwide product that is offering deals and discounts all over. Obviously, when we go onto campus, if this is something that's something that Sarah wants to get involved with, this is definitely something you can do. We create this Varsity Vibe village where you do different things with our partners. So you'll see there's like here's the prize pong that we do. There's a popcorn machine. There's a spin and win. There's a whole bunch of fun things. And for us, it's important to have students selling to students, telling them about it. Not that we've got a whole bunch of old people on there trying to explain to them why they should be visiting national heritage sites. So yeah, the market breakdown, as you can see, is 493,000. As you can see, it's split. There's about 270,000 verified students, and we have 113,000 premium paid members. I have said this to Devin, so if you do want to have a full look at the breakdown, you're more than welcome to. Huge portion of them sitting in Joburg and Cape Town, because obviously that's where we first started. Durban picked up very quickly over the last 2 years, and so has the Eastern Cape. Our biggest mover at the moment is actually the Limpopo and the Eastern Cape this year in particular. And these are the universities. So like I said, we position ourselves as a student discount app, but it is also for the youth. You can see in 2022, when Varsity opens, we are the talk of the town and pretty much the biggest thing for students at the moment. I mean, who wouldn't want to get 20% off at Superbalist and 22% off at H&M and all the rest of it? So yeah, our online stats speak for themselves. I mean, as you can see, there was a huge increase of 800% over the last couple of years with everyone moving online. But we still have 2022, a 76% increase in total spend from last year to this year. 29% of these are first-time buyers, so it works really well. For an in-store deal, you'll notice that basically they're getting a slightly reduced price, or not slightly, a considerable reduced price, but the basket size is more. So they are either shopping more or buying more or whatever because they're getting the full value. So that's pretty much what we like to sort of see. Our daily active users obviously 10K around that mark. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of deals and discounts that we do, big brand partners that we work with. And these are obviously nice. They're the big ticket items. They make things really cool and easy. Everyone knows a Burger King, everyone knows a Vita and an H&M and a Cotton On and a Typo. And these are all very nice stuff. But what really breathes life into the app are the local stores and the student startups. And a lot of these student startups actually get sold later on. So for instance, this Bottles app these are students that actually started this. They've recently sold it as Pick and Pay ASAP. Well, I'll say recently in the last 2 years. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different deals and discounts that really breathe life into the app that are local and gets a really good foothold on the student space for these local businesses. So yeah, and then obviously the value adds, it's more than just a student deals platform, right? It's, you're now, by being a partner of Varsity Vibe, you're able to use the digital marketing packages, like I said, the campus activations. We do influencer campaigns, so we've basically become the stepping stone for a lot of students and youth that want to be influencers, and they're kind of there, and then a lot of them that are influencers and actually just really love the brand and the brands that we work with. So we often do these influencer campaigns for brands, and we deal with all the admin and take all the, like, just tell us what you need and we'll get the influencers. We sort everything out and we do it all for you. There's push notifications, news mailers, social media campaigns. So the ambassadors or Vibe agents, we have about 450 students across the country that work for us. That comes from store testing to on-campus activations to just literally sales team referring different students. I'll give you an example. We have one guy that earns himself about 18 to 25,000 Rand a month just referring students to our platform. He's extremely successful, and one of the main reasons why our Limpopo area has grown so massively, because that's all he does. On-campus material, obviously, if they want to be in the flyer or like a do not disturb door hanger and stuff. This is when people have come back to campus. We're seeing a lot of this. So 2023, this is going to become a big area again, the physical being on-campus space again. We obviously have direct line with a lot of campuses around South Africa and setting it up, etc. We try and this is our sort of home, like this is where we like to operate from. So yeah, we've got direct inlets to all universities where we like to operate from. We do competitions and giveaways, whether that's online or in stores, etc. Entrepreneurship, this is an area that we've been growing in a big way for a lot of students. Market research, we do a lot of this as well. And that student spend survey is something we did last year, where we managed to actually get, I think it was 6,000, close to 6,000 students that answered our survey and basically gave us a full rundown of where they're spending money, how they're earning money, how much they think their fees cost, a whole bunch of good things. So yeah, just some value adds. I'm hoping I covered everything in the literally 10 minutes I had available, and I think I may have gone over time. Sorry, Devin. So yeah, I suppose now would be the time that I open it up to the floor for any questions, if there are any.
Thank you so much for that very, very informative presentation, Dino. I'm blown away by the massive potential that exists and the direction that you have taken in terms of exposing the youth to those brands. If we could replicate that with our sites, the sky is basically the limit. So for me, I think that the growth potential is basically infinite. I just want to know, this is just a question coming from me. Now, based on your experiences, I would imagine that you've partnered with tourism sites and potential site managers for tourist destinations. How has the exposure been, and what has the experience been in terms of those particular site managers for tourism destinations? What kind of growth have they seen, and what level of, I'd say, exposure have the students had to these type of sites? That would be the first question coming from me.
Yeah, so funny enough, in 2019, just before the whole lockdown happened, we were very involved with tourists. And they've got a lot of different touring companies, travel company, Contiki's another one. Obviously, a lot of this stuff shut down, so it went quiet. But for instance, Contiki would book out entire Contiki trips via the Varsity Vibe platform. So they would use a marketing package, and we would send out a news mailer to everyone. We'd put out social media, and all of a sudden they'd sell out a full wow. trip, which is like 50, 60 people. The same thing, then they started opening it up to top deck tour buses, what was it called? Something like that.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, when it comes to the tourist space, the better the discount, the more engaging and the more willing someone's willing to do it. So we always say, go with a big discount to get them in, and then from there, give them something that continuously gets them coming back. Keep the interest alive and keep them going back there. Rather than instead of trying to work the idea of selling a ticket to someone, rather get the idea of getting them there.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all good and well, we have over 500,000 members, but 40% have been signed up this year alone.
Wow.
You know, so it's a big chunk of it, and that's a lot of first years and second years. And obviously they start getting very preoccupied with their studies or their work or whatever they're doing. What do they do to relax? What do they do to socialize and get involved with afterwards? So the idea is to give them something to do that's not going to cost them an arm and a leg, because when we did the student spend survey, we realized that a lot of students were literally looking for fun, free, simple, cheap things to do when they aren't busy studying. From a uptake point of view, we did a Standard Bank deal of the month since June. We found that by offering a big discount for a month, all of a sudden the simple discount, the one that we had before, trebled in numbers.
Wow.
Okay, it's really something. So giving something big to get the feet in through the door is what we like to do. Obviously look at capacity. So when is it quiet? When is it not so busy? But still do things when it is busy. Obviously just don't. And the idea is not to be a group one or something where you're actually losing money in this. This needs to be something that works for the partner, works for the student, and obviously for us, this is a growth initiative. This is something, a nice value add. This is something that gets people really involved in the country.
Wow, fantastic. There's a comment that's coming. There are comments coming in the chat, and I know there's a little bit of feedback that Devon wants to also give. So let me hand over to Devon for a second, and then I'll come back with my follow-up questions. Devon, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you, Dino. That was a perfect presentation to really give an outlook on what Varsity Vibe has to offer. Dino, this is another question to you. You've already alluded to it. Varsity Vibe is not trying to have older people coming to tell students how they should spend their time and money. So just another question on how you've innovated in a space where you've tried to create campus activations that have been very successful. Oftentimes, marketing campaigns have large budgets, but it falls kind of flat. So if you could just give one example of how Varsity Vibe's done that differently, and it's brought on success for a particular partner.
Sure. Being on campus every single year up until when lockdown happened, we started becoming very good at what we did. Number one, we used students from that university. So like I said, we have 450 students nationwide. They obviously have friends. They're very charismatic, young, fun, energetic students, and they love to work for Varsity Vibe. We're a great brand. That's number one. So you've got students from that university using it. Then we'll see a brand, for instance. I'll give you an example. There's Mountain Dew. We come to UCT, the one, and they set up this massive ramp. They have Red Bull guys. They do this whole thing. It costs an arm and a leg. And I went to the guys that are there from Mountain Dew. You can see the big boys who are there. And I said, hi, yeah, this is great. I said, tell me something. How much did this cost? And they said, no, it's 500,000 rand for the week for this whole setup. So I was like, wow, that's quite a bit. I said, how many stores on campus here sell Mountain Dew? And he looked at me, he's like, I'm not sure. And he turned to the other guy, he's like, I'm not sure, I'll have to get back to you. I said, I can tell you, not one, zero. I said, for 500,000 rand, you could have easily have created a vending machine that literally gave you a free Mountain Dew every 100th Mountain Dew, or take a picture, a selfie, and post it to Instagram, whatever, and then you get a free Mountain Dew, or something in that way to interact. The idea is to create a KPI and an experience that works towards the KPI. So what we did is we had Superbulous, for instance, they did one with us, and they said, cool, here's a whole bunch of vouchers for Superbulous. We went and created a spin and win campaign for them on campus. The idea is not that they just come and they do a spin when they get a voucher. No, they had to create a wish list on Superbulous, get understanding what Superbulous is. Fine. All of a sudden, we had a whole bunch of people basically like creating wish lists and spending more time creating their wish lists than actually doing the spin and win. And then all of a sudden, Superbulous said to us, were you guys in PE last week? And we're like, yeah, we were. And they're like, we saw a 300% increase in spend from customers in PE where we don't usually see ever before. So this is a huge success for them. And a lot of the time, it's like simple ideas, taking a prize or a voucher or a reward and attaching it to a KPI. What's the KPI for Superbulous? More students using the platform, creating a wish list, understanding that there's more Superbulous than just sneakers. You know, a lot of them didn't realize you could get beauty. So The marketing packages help massively with that. That's the digital side. On-campus activations, whether it's a spin and win, or it's a giant dice, or it's a putt, but they've got to get it in. For me, it's an idea of like you could even create like a hike up this mountain, and then win a free trip up with the cable car or whatever, like something silly like that. Like win a trip to Robben Island, you've got to do the trip. But the idea is to create it with the idea that it works with the brand. It's not, you've got to look at the KPI and see that the reward is working towards the KPI, not that you're just spending a budget to have some pretty pictures and put into a presentation. There needs to be the comeback. So for us, the Superfluous was they were getting a voucher, but then on top of it, they were downloading the Varsity Vibe app, and now they know they can get 20% each and every time it's Superfluous. We complete the loop.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Dino. As you were speaking, we might just have to rope you into our strategic sessions so that you can provide this greater traffic to our site. Now, Dino, there are some comments in the, I'm just going to read out the comments in the chat. Ruan says, great presentation and work, Dino. I am really excited to see how this initiative will introduce more youth to the heritage sphere over the next few months and years. Of course, we are still at a conceptual phase. We're still at the early days of this partnership with SARA, and it can only grow bigger from here. And Nancy says that the youth is our future, and if we can get them involved and interested in heritage as soon as possible, it can only benefit the sector. I fully agree with you, Nancy. This is an incredible initiative. And beyond just heritage sites, we're talking about sites of significance now and how to get the youth there. But there are a lot of associated activities that come with these sites. And for me, I'm looking forward to how we could perhaps have a comprehensive package between, again, the youth and these particular sites. Now, my next question, Dino, or perhaps let me give Ruan a chance. Ruan has written something here. How does the traffic generally compare with online stores versus in-person stores, service providers? That's a good question. Let me bring Ruan onto the floor, and then perhaps you can give him a response, Dino, afterwards. Ruan, the mic is yours. Please go ahead. You can interact with Dino directly.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for that. And Dino, thanks for that presentation. And Devin as well. I'm very excited to see this initiative rolling out with SARA. I'm just kind of curious, being in the heritage sector and the sort of partnerships that we're envisioning in our units, it's going to be a lot of in-store stuff as opposed to online stuff. And my assumption is that the online stores will be getting more traffic and sort of where the good numbers sit. But what about the in-store stuff? Because that's really where we're going to be sitting. So I'd love to see the numbers there because, I mean, things look fantastic. And yeah, just would love to hear your take on that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give you a perfect example is Discount. Discount is one of our retail partners, right? They sell everything from cereal to medicine. Okay, they give us a flat 10% discount. Their online store accounts for 10% of total spend. So, however, 90% is in store. Okay, so the online, as good as it is nice and it's a lovely experience, but students are outgoing creatures, okay, or they're youth. When it came to lockdown, I mean, from our student spend survey, the biggest problem for them was actually not getting out and seeing their friends. Like, we even did polls to say, what do you miss most about university? And an overwhelming, I think it was like 95%, was like, just see my mates every day. Okay, not dealing like this through a computer screen, actually having that physical interaction. So I'll give you an example, is that for one stage, we couldn't do the cotton on deal in store, it had to be online only. The people lost their minds. Okay, they want to go in store, they want to try it out, and they want to test and deal it and everything. Students love to be out. Okay, if it's an in-store deal, it's way better. The online's great, don't get me wrong, but the in-store deal is where it all happens, where they actually can go in. Obviously, for heritage, it's going to be something about visiting a site or something like that. It's an experience. And the biggest thing that students are missing at the moment are experiences. That's going to rugby games or sports games or soccer games or whatever. If it's festivals or it's going to do something, that is the biggest thing that they're missing to do right now. They are tired of being indoors, especially after this long winter that we've just had as well. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. We do see about 10 to 20% online sales versus in-store, but the majority of the time it's in-store, continuous, repetitive, getting the deal. I mean, most of our deals are in-store deals as it is.
Thank you. Perfect. And basically, let me just maybe follow up from there. In terms of cross-brand marketing or partnerships, what I mean by that is you've got Superbalist and you've got Mountain Dew. They seem unrelated. But now with us as well, we've got sites. You've got an archaeological site. You've got Robben Island, which is about the island itself and the prison. You've got Table Mountain. So in terms of cross-brand marketing opportunities, so Superbalist linking with Robben Island, is there opportunity for that? Could you maybe speak to that as well?
Absolutely. I'm actually at the moment trying to, so the beginning of this year, the reason why we had such a fantastic growth in February and March is we actually did a collaborative competition campaign for I think it was 4 brands in totality. I'm trying to find it now, the actual post we did on Instagram. It was huge. Let me just find it. We have done a lot this year. I'm going to get there eventually, promise. There we go. So, oh, I'm not even sharing screen. Sorry. Let me just share. So here we go, guys. This is a giveaway that we did with Factory, Vida, Lift Airlines, and ourselves. We ran the entire campaign. These are all 5 of our Varsity influencers. Each one of them have like 30 to 50. I think this girl over here has over 100,000 followers, and the engagement is fantastic. It's not about showing skin, more about being a cool person. Okay, and these guys over here basically posted and pushed this. We had an overwhelming 12,500 people that basically liked the post. That wasn't enough to get it, but to give you an idea, when it comes to collaborating with brands, this is what we love to do. So, for instance, Virgin Active now is wanting to do something with Vida and with us. We have a campaign coming up with Cotton On, and so Cotton On Group have a brand called Supray, and Supray is only being sold on Superbalist, so they're looking to do a cross-brand collaboration there. This is something we are definitely looking to do, and this would be a perfect opportunity to host something or have something at a heritage site, and having a pop-up or something like that. So yes, a simple answer, this is something we totally do and we absolutely love to do. It's like getting brands to work together for the better of each other.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I've literally got goosebumps, and from your responses and from what you've presented here, I look at, the potential of maximizing sites such as the Castle, which already have a general interest. But again, just the idea of a pop-up, Vida pop-up store at the Castle to increase foot traffic, that type of engagement, I think, again, as I say, the potential is limitless. And I really, really want to give you a big thank you for coming here today, for presenting with us. As we said, it is only at we're at the infancy stage of this potential partnership with SARA and all the national heritage sites, provincial heritage sites, local heritage sites, site managers of objects and inventories. And again, the idea is to, as you said, not just have once-off visitors or once-off, but to have a full-on engagement with these sites. So we really look forward to engaging with you. Devon, if anything, this for me is the first of many other engagements that we will have. I see there's a hand from Heidi. Heidi, you're more than welcome to go ahead.
Sorry, Ben, thank you so much. I was dealing with my hand going up and down. I do apologize. Thanks, Dina. I think this is incredibly exciting, and especially that I feel that it's targeted to the youth and Devon's point about, they are ultimately the future in our heritage sector. And I feel, when you hear sometimes how the youth talk about our history and what they don't understand about our history, it's actually quite scary. So I'm really, really, really excited about this initiative and getting this going. I think it is vitally important. I just wanted to ask you a very quick question around your influencers. Is there any possibility that we, as a partner with you, could make use of your influences? Not only in promoting an already established heritage site like Robben Island, for instance, but in terms of our day-to-day work that we do, and I'm thinking particular around the work that I do when we declare a national heritage site, we need to do public, open it up for public comments and stuff, and we would definitely love to involve influencers to get the news out there that this is happening. Is that a possibility? Is that something we could do?
Absolutely. That's pretty much what we do. The idea is to get sort of student influences, and we go from nano to like micro and sometimes even macro influences to get them involved. I mean, by becoming a partner of Varsity 5, then you have access to these different packages or whatever. Obviously, some of it does carry a cost. It's not all for free, but the idea is to try and create something that is value. The one thing I hate seeing is, and I see it often, brands get taken apart by marketing agencies that, oh, it's going to cost you this much to do this and this and this, but there's no objective to the campaign. And what are you trying to achieve by doing this, and why did you do that? Other than just the pretty picture. So for us, if we don't think it's going to work or we don't agree with something, we will tell you. We will say you're wasting money here. You should rather do it like this. Or I hate seeing a campaign get completely wasted simply because the objective wasn't set in the first place. So yes, in absolutely, this is exactly what we like to do, is to get student influencers or whoever there and talking and telling the story in their own version as well. We don't give them a script and tell them what they should say. We give them key points. Obviously, this is what, and then they then go and tell their friends exactly how they would tell them, so that it's not fake. It's true and real, and you're hearing it directly from the friend. Once again, it's that students selling whatever to their friends, to their students. That's super important for us, and that's half the reason why we've grown as quickly as what we have.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those responses. Thank you for the questions. Dino, may I ask that you put your email in the chat? I'm sure the colleagues will want to engage with you directly. We are, of course, running out of time, and we're now going to be concluding this final session of our Heritage Week webinar series, and most importantly, the Varsity Vibe Roadshow from today, which again has presented endless possibilities, and I am extremely excited. I know this is the first of many engagements that myself and Devon will be having with you. Let me perhaps hand over to Devon just to conclude this segment, and then we'll move on to the conclusion of our Heritage Week webinar series from our chairperson, Dr. Luyanda Mpatla. Devon, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ben. And again, thank you so much, Dino, for your time and effort in presenting to us today and answering all those questions, which I'm sure all the partners are very interested to hear. I'm sure there'll be a lot more engagement between the two of us going forward and bringing on board all of these partners. So yeah, a massive thank you on behalf of SARA and on our partnership for doing all of that. And then, yeah, I just want to reiterate that the opportunity here is endless. And I think as we started this session, there's an opportunity to bring youth into heritage. And I think that's what we've been lacking. And I think that this is one way to bridge that gap. So thank you so much, Dino, and thank you so much to everyone who've joined on this platform.
Thank you so much, Dino.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, absolutely, we've said it over and over again. This is something that is a long process. It's a long-term projection, right? These are people that are studying now and will later become your future earners. This is your future of South Africa. Let's get them back and understanding what South Africa is all about. And we're that gateway for you guys to talk directly to this niche market. And yeah, sorry, on my side, I cannot access the chat. So, Devon, you've got my email address. If you could just put it on there for anyone, feel free to email me directly. Yeah, and very excited to see this move forward.
Thank you so much once again, Dino. And we look forward to partnering with you and all the brands that you've worked with. And congratulations on the growth that you've experienced this year. We look forward as well to just taking advantage of that growth ourselves. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.
Have a good day.
Now, this brings us, as I said, to the last closing part of our Heritage Week webinar series. I thought that our chairperson would be joining us virtually, but I'd say privileged today to have him make the time to join us here in person. Dr. Luyanda Mpahlwa has just joined us in studio, and he will be giving the closing remarks that will end our Heritage Month webinar series. If you can just give him about 1 minute to set up, and then he'll be joining us in studio. So so if you can just excuse us for 1 minute, we will be getting Dr. Luyanda Mpahlwa set up in studio to conclude our Heritage Month webinar series. All right, and we are back. And as I stated, next to me is the chairperson of the SARA Council, Dr. Luyanda Mpahlwa. He will be giving us his closing remarks for our Heritage webinar series. And following that, that will conclude all of the sessions for the week. So without any further delay, Dr. Mpahlwa, over to you.
Thank you, Ben. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Everyone who's online and on YouTube and wherever else. I haven't had the opportunity personally to, participate in all the events of the webinar, but obviously I've been following what has been happening through various channels and with Sarah. And I'd just like, on behalf of the Council of the South African Heritage Resources Agency, take the opportunity to thank everyone who participated in the 2022 Heritage Month webinar series. Well, this week, as we all know, started on a high note, opened by our distinguished SARA Council member, the chairperson of Heritage Resources Management Committee, Mr. Joe Serokwane. We've been truly honored by the presence of everyone who participated and for the contributions you've made. And we can say that at the end of the 4 days of what I think must have been an exhausting week for everyone, the call for cooperation, partnerships, and community involvement seems to have been the golden thread that echoed throughout the presentations. We therefore have to thank each and every one of you for generously affording us your time to participate in this Heritage series. As I've been following, day one showcased the significant aspect of our heritage legislation, recognizing the important role that communities play in managing their heritage. The Archaeology, Paleontology, and Meteorites session, which is called APM in short, focus on numerous community-based heritage projects, the role that communities play in taking ownership of their heritage, and the potential for promoting heritage tourism and sustainable conservation. The four guest speakers from our colleagues in Heritage shared with us examples of current and past projects from across South Africa. From SARA's APM team, we received the presentation titled Bonoka Khopa, highlighting on a community-led conservation project in Limpopo that showcases the traditional built environment practices and the conservation of this practice into the future. Quite an important thing that we should be able to take established practices and carry them forward so that they can be preserved. Our guest speaker in this session, Mr. J.P. Cilliers, curator at the Lindenberg Museum, Nelspruit, presented a community-led conservation initiative at the Boomplatz Rock Engraving Landscape in Mpumalanga. An important aspect which this project highlighted was that the community is directly involved in the management of this heritage site. Dr. David Morris, who has been involved with archaeology in the Northern Cape for decades, provided an interesting conversation around the opportunities and challenges of two sites open to the public, these being the Wildebeer Scale, just outside Kimberley, and Vonderwerk Cave located in the Kuruman Hills. Lastly, Dr. Maria Grazia Calimbetti, project champion for the Cradle of Human Culture in the Western Cape province, presented an exciting new heritage tourism initiative with the aim of not just promoting our heritage, but also providing sustainable beneficiation to local communities. Closing the first day of this Heritage Week webinar series on a high note, the Maritime and Underwater Cultural Heritage session highlighted the incredible quality and diversity of resources that exist in this category. From shipwrecks and their cargoes to tidal fish traps, intangible heritage in the form of oral histories, and holistic maritime landscapes connecting the ocean to the land and its people. All of this showcased how the sea has shaped our land and emphasized the role maritime heritage played in defining the South Africa we know today. The sterling work and projects of the SARA's Maritime and Underwater Cultural Heritage team was shared in this session, together with incredible research and day-to-day work of the 3 South African maritime archaeologists who regularly collaborate with SARA. The presentations discussed the merits and pitfalls of community-dependent management strategies when compared to community-informed strategies, provided an update on the exciting shipwreck survey project, and outlined representation of the heritage sector in the marine spatial planning process. Mr. Jacob Boshoff of Iziko Museum gave us an interview of an international interdisciplinary project that focuses on the wreck of the slave ship Sao Jose, which is a natural heritage site. Dr. Jonathan Schaffman of New York University, Abu Dhabi, a fellow SARA Council member, provided some insights into his work on maritime landscapes and the deep interconnectivity of the Arabian Sea and the East African coast. Ms. Vanessa Maitland's presentation discussed her master's research, highlighting exciting technical investigation into identifying and reconstructing from wooden wreck pieces possible parts of an unknown wreck in Table Bay. That was day 1, and day 2, the session explored the management and conservation of movable heritage objects that form part of the National Estate, which was made up of presentations from the Heritage Objects Unit team, a video recording by a guest speaker, Professor Siraj Rasool, a colleague and friend of SARA for many years, and contributions of the chairperson of the HRM, Dr. Serekwane, as we've said, and acting Heritage Conservation Management Executive. These presentations showcased heritage objects that depict periods in the history of South Africa from the pre-colonial era that shaped and contributed to our democratic dispensation, as well as highlighting how the implementation of the NARA, the National Heritage Resources Act, gave rise to a successful outcome. Illicit trafficking of heritage objects was highlighted in this session, including the conventions that South Africa is a party to and what is in place to combat illicit trafficking. Further, the dynamics and nuances involved in the management of specifically declared heritage objects and collections was discussed. Professor Siraj Rasool's recorded video presentation addressed repatriation of heritage objects to original communities from the global perspective and the discourse that is emphasized in pursuing restitution and repatriation. I'm pretty sure many of you are aware of the raging debate in the Western world, where artifacts that were looted during colonial times are being returned back into the continent. His presentation further addressed various components related to repatriation that included definitions, the core issues in addressing the process and identifying models towards this end. Thereafter, Mrs. Serakwane expanded on the notion of intentional identification of heritage objects that must be repatriated and the importance of public participation in this process. To round off the discussion, members of the SARA executive management highlighted the policy of repatriation and restitution of human remains and heritage objects and the processes in motion in addressing the repatriation of these heritage projects that form part of South Africa's national estate. We concluded the session on the second day focusing on inventories, information systems, open source platforms, and free applications, discussing how these tools can be used to improve our decision-making process, provide easier access to collections, and change the way that people interact with their history and heritage. The four speakers shared engaging presentations with the different aspects of information systems and inventories and how they can be utilized, improved, and made more available. The National Inventory team showcased heritage inventories and data-driven decision-making, discussing the need to emphasize the documentation within inventories to make informed decisions and taking those decisions into actions. The team also gave a breakdown of QR codes, discussing improvement over barcodes and endless uses within the museum and heritage sector. One of the guest speakers in this session was Mr. Nicholas Wilshaw from Cedar Tower Services, a former SARA employee who resolutely developed our South African Heritage Resources Information System called SARIS to its first launch in 2012-2013. His presentation took us through the development journey of SARIS 10 years to date, while Ms. Jenna Lavin from Open Heritage, and a former SARA employee as well, shared with us the benefits of open source platforms towards ensuring that heritage is accessible to all people. Day 3, we're gonna come to an end. It was a long week, it looks like. On the third day, the presentations that focused on conservation of built heritage resources explored the most pertinent issues in conservation of the built fabric of the national estate. We focused on sustainable conservation through the lens of adaptive reuse of significant buildings, material characterization, digital profiling of structures, and the social component of ESG, the environmental, social, and governance aspects of development. I think we all know about this. We also looked at contentious heritage and memorialization and the best approaches to follow when dealing with contested heritage. Our 6 speakers, 2 being internal and 4 guest speakers, provided in-depth assessment of the aforementioned subjects. Dr. Pallav Kumar and Mrs. Mapole Loke, or Loke, I'm not sure, from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, looked at sustainable material use for significant sites and provided feedback on the research conducted at Dal Yosafat, one of our sites, by their master's students. Prof. Francois Viruli from the University of Cape Town looked at social outcomes that will need to inform conservation management of the built environment as far as our sustainable heritage tool concept, while Mr. Calvin Gilfillan, Castle of Good Hope, provided an overview of the Camisa project, which looked at constructing a decolonial museum through the unmaking of history. Members of the SARA Built Environment team, on the other hand, made the case for adaptive reuse of significant sites as a critical component of sustainable development, highlighting redevelopment and redesign as applicable tools to achieve that end. This includes showcasing the proactive approaches for managing contentious heritage, focusing on statues and memorials, one of the two. The closing session of day 3 brought to our attention the challenges in managing heritage resources associated with sacred sites. The SARA's Burial Grounds and Graves Unit team highlighted the complexities of preserving these sites within the context of planned and unplanned developments, indicating the need for ongoing engagements within our communities on how best we can protect the sacred heritage. Apologies. Therefore, the last day, which obviously is today, I think.
Yep.
Yes. We started the session with projects and efforts of SARA towards formal heritage protection of our resources, indicating a continuous improvement approach in SARA's processes, showcased by the ongoing development of the thematic framework. The guest speakers in this session, Mr. Kwezi Kampumlwan, Fana Samtat of the National Heritage Council, and Mr. Dumisani Sibai, fellow colleague and Heritage Resources Management person within SARA, shared with us their considerations on the necessity of intangible living heritage in heritage resource management, highlighting areas of great opportunity, but also brought to light challenges of conserving intangible heritage and its documentation. Last year and throughout this series, the importance of partnerships and community involvement in managing heritage resources was emphasized, and it was encouraging to see that SARA, through its Heritage Resources Coordination Plan, are looking to streamline how all stakeholders and role players can be interconnected and should work interdependently towards the sustainable management of our heritage resources. Through this plan, various stakeholder groups should be clearer on their active roles, who they should be engaging with, and how their efforts culminate into modeling or building a heritage sector that we can all recognize as ours. We cannot speak of heritage without providing the legal context within which we operate. In this session, the SARA legal team provided us with the legal context and regulatory considerations in managing heritage resources in today's developments and challenges. Lastly, but certainly not least, we were introduced to SARA's efforts in making heritage accessible to youth through our partnership with Varsity Vibe. This is a South African student discount app that offers instant access to exclusive student deals. I think you've heard the last speaker, Dino, speaking quite eloquently about how this initiative has been successful. It's an initiative which provides youth with access to heritage institutions and activities, and provides heritage sites with more exposure and participation. In this regard, we are looking forward to the partnerships that will contribute towards SARA's financial sustainability and enable sustainable heritage management moving forward. In closing what turned out to be an enlightening week of knowledge sharing, exploring ways to better engage in collective management of our heritage, we hope that you have witnessed the capacity and passion of the SARA team. For us as council, we are assured that SARA is pursuing the partnerships that will, in the long run, benefit the South African heritage sector. We appreciate our local and international partnerships as an indication that SARA is an integral part of the global heritage sector. Our partnerships with local universities and institutions of higher learning seek to ensure that we contribute to the development of a cohort and a pipeline of skilled practitioners in heritage management. We have to continue making heritage sector attractive and relevant to the youth, and obviously Varsity Vibes is one of the means by which we hope to achieve this. To all our great speakers in various fields and professions, local and international, you made this series exceed our expectations, so we thank you all. We can say for certain, from the experiences, am I still on actually? No? Okay, I'm going to start with the council part again. For us as council, we are assured that SARA is pursuing the partnerships that will, in the long run, benefit the South African heritage sector. We appreciate our local and international partnerships as an indication that SARA is an integral part of the global heritage sector. Our partnerships with local universities and institutions of higher learning seek to ensure that we contribute to the development of a cohort and pipeline of skilled practitioners in heritage management. We have to continue making the heritage sector attractive and relevant to the youth. And our partnership with Varsity Vibes is one of the means by which we hope we can achieve this. To all our guest speakers in various fields and professions, local and international, you made this series exceed our expectations, so we thank you all. We can say for certain from the experiences of this week that we have partners that we can count on in heritage resources management, and we will do our best to service to this sector as best as we can. To the SARA team, led by the CEO and our executive, including our technical team behind the scenes that prevail over load shedding, thank you very much. And a special thank you to fellow SARA Council members who contributed and participated in this series. With these words, allow me on behalf of Council to declare the Heritage Week webinar series closed, wishing everyone happy Heritage Day celebrations and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Chairperson, Dr. Luyanda Mpahlwa. And with those words, I'd like to invite you all to switch on your microphones. And for the last time, so please switch on your microphones. I'll just give you a moment to do that. If you could please switch on your microphones. First and foremost, I want to thank the sign language interpreters who are present with us. They have worked tirelessly throughout the week. I can imagine that they are now heritage experts after all that translation. I want to thank the council chairperson for taking time out of his very busy schedule to come and give us these words of thanks. And I want to thank all of you, SARA staff members and our guests for participating in this Heritage Month webinar series. So with your microphones on, could you please give a big round of applause to yourselves and to the SARA team for a very successful Heritage Month webinar series. And that adjourns this year's Heritage Month webinar series. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, you guys.
Keeping you busy. Yeah, keeping you busy.
Yeah, no, I assume this would be either there or something.
Yeah, yeah.